A mineral resource estimate is often the moment an exploration story starts becoming a development story. But how do investors know whether the numbers are truly meaningful? Today, we're looking at Avrupa Minerals' first resource estimate for the Sesmarias Project in Portugal, and where management sees the greatest opportunity for growth from here. I'm joined today by Paul Kuhn, President and CEO of Avrupa Minerals. Paul, welcome back to the watch list.
Thanks, Ricky. Nice to see you too. I appreciate your time for me.
Of course, anytime. You're always welcome. So tell us, you've just announced the initial mineral resource estimate for Sesmarias, which is a major milestone for any project. For investors looking beyond the headline numbers, what are the most important takeaways regarding the size and grade of the deposit?
Well, Ricky, the biggest takeaway, of course, is the potential expandability of the Sesmarias deposit. We've only looked at a small section of the deposit, yet we've managed to define a body of copper and zinc mineralization with a decent grade. So, yeah, the expandability is what we're really excited about.
And we're seeing increasing interest in copper and base metals projects globally, driven by electrification, grid expansion, and long term supply concerns. Your report classifies Sesmarias as an inferred resource. So, for investors who may not be familiar with the terminology, what does that tell us about the current level of confidence in the resource? And how sensitive are the economics to factors like metal prices and operating costs?
Well, Ricky, inferred resource means basically we still have a lot of work to do at Sesmarias to upgrade the confidence level of what we have there and what we think we might have there. There are holes in the drill pattern in the central zone, which is the main part of the known deposit, where we see the best grade so far. There are bigger holes in the northern zone where we have found decent zinc mineralization in the limbs of the synform, which hosts the mineralization. But we've not completely defined the hinge zone in the north, where we have the best grades. We really don't have a fully defined mineralization in the southern zone either. So, adding all that up, the confidence level is low, but typical for this stage of a deposit. We also know that there are possible extensions both north and south of the presently defined 1,700 meters of strike length. We've completed basic metallurgical studies, which give us some idea of the mineral characteristics and the metal recoveries, but further, more detailed studies are necessary to help the understanding of the project viability. Fortunately, there are good examples of these characteristics in nearby deposits in the pyrite belt, and these give us some comfort of the fact that we're doing the right thing and we're getting in the right direction. Again, in order to upgrade the confidence level of our inferred deposit, we still need more detailed metallurgical studies. The group that did the MRE for us, SLR Consulting from the UK, put together a careful, very conservative study using their company-wide information for costing, metals prices, knowledge of the pyrite belt, metallurgical parameters, etc. So we know the numbers are exciting at the present stage because they've done a conservative job. They've done a careful review of this. It took quite a bit of time to get it all done. And they found, with the present understanding of the Sesmarias project, that the zinc payback or payability was slightly higher than the copper payout. So they did their first study in zinc equivalents rather than copper equivalents. The we were we were looking for a copper equivalent, but we're quite happy to have good high grade zinc. And much of that comes from the northern zone, as we know it so far. The copper so far is coming from the central zone, where we know a little bit more about the mineralogy and the mineralization. But this is all part of an inferred resource. We've learned about the deposit through our own work and through the SLR Consulting's work, and so we've got a direction to head, and this is why we're at an inferred level. We don't know everything about it. We need more drilling. We need to upgrade our metallurgical understanding, and of course, as you asked, metals prices and costing are all important in this kind of estimate, and we really can't provide too much knowledge about that other than their own. And of course, metals prices have been going up. We hope they continue to go up. That's helpful to us, of course, but we also recognize with the continued world political and economic instability, costing of production and sales may not be helpful in the future. So there's a lot of checks and balances, but this is what an inferred resource is. It's the first shot at a good zone of mineralization.
And perhaps the most interesting part of this story is that management believes there's significant room to grow here, which is kind of what you've been alluding to. You've spoken about a goal of potentially doubling the size of the resource. Where will the next phase of drilling be focused to pursue that upside?
Before we get too far ahead here, let's say that the most important thing that we can do right now is finding a potential mining partner to help us move forward at Sesmarias. This will be crucial for us to move the permitting process ahead and getting back onto the property to continue exploration and eventually commit to a mining solution there. The obvious places to return to drilling are in the central zone, as I mentioned above, for infill and extension, and in the northern zone to ideally identify mineralization in the hinge where we found it in the central zone. Southern zone's a little bit further behind. We'll get to that eventually, but really the drilling, when we get to it, will be the central zone and the northern zone.
Thanks so much, Paul. So this is initial resource estimate appears to be an important starting point rather than the finished picture, with future drilling set out to determine just how large the Sesmarias system could become. Thank you so much for your time today, Paul.
I'm glad to talk with you, Ricky. Pleasure.
Once again, that is Paul Kuhn, President and CEO of Avrupa Minerals. For more on the Sesmarias Project and the company's exploration activities, visit avrupaminerals.com. That's all for this episode of The Watch List. I'm Ricky Lee. Make good choices today.